Asian gang attacks East Asian woman unaware she's a former Army Ranger. What happens when a group of Asian men targets the wrong East Asian woman, thinking she's an easy victim, only to find out she is a former Army Ranger? Watch as she fights back, uncovering a shocking truth that leads to community-wide justice against hate. You won't believe how far this story goes. The late afternoon sun bathed Civic Center Park in the city of San Francisco with a soft golden glow, casting long shadows over pathways lined with ancient redwood and pine trees. Laughter from children mingled with the rustle of leaves in the breeze. The park was alive with the rhythms of a calm autumn day. Naoko Kimura sat alone on a bench near the secluded edge of a small pond. The East Asian woman in her mid-30s wore a simple gray t-shirt and jeans, her lean build giving subtle hints of a disciplined and hardened past. A faint scar ran along her left forearm, catching the sunlight. To the average person, she looked like any other woman taking a moment to unwind, but to those who noticed details, like the way her sharp stare darted across the park every few seconds, she exuded an unshakable aura of vigilance. Naoko had been trained to observe. Years as an Army Ranger had honed her instincts. Even now, retired from active duty, those instincts never dulled. A jogger passed by, giving her a polite nod. Naoko returned it with a faint smile before glancing back at the pond. Yet something gnawed at her, that unexplainable feeling in her gut, the one that never lied. From across the park, near a large redwood tree, she caught sight of a group of men loitering. 4 of them. They were loud, their sharp laughter cutting through the serenity of the park. At the center stood a man with short, stocky build, a buzz cut, and tattoos running up his neck. His name, she would later learn, was Tiger Lee. Tiger leaned against the tree with the posture of a predator, surveying the field. Next to him was a tall man with sparse facial hair, cracking his knuckles, Ray Chen. The other 2 were younger, likely in their early 20s, their smug demeanor and strong cologne filling the air. "That one," Tiger muttered, nodding toward Naoko. His tone carried an edge of malice. Ray chuckled. "Thinks she's tough, sitting here all smug. Easy target." Naoko felt their eyes on her before she saw them. She tensed ever so slightly, her Army Ranger training immediately assessing the threat. The men crossed the park slowly, their voices growing louder with every step. "They're testing me," Naoko thought, her pulse steady, her breathing even. She remained seated, though she subtly adjusted her position to make herself look just vulnerable enough to tempt them further. Tiger reached the edge of the path in front of her bench. His shoes crunched against the gravel as he came to a stop. "Afternoon, lady," Tiger said, his voice dripping with mock politeness. "Mighty nice day to be sitting all alone, don't you think?" Naoko looked up slowly, her face calm but her eyes piercing. "What do you want?" Ray grinned, his stained teeth showing. "Just being friendly, girl. You got something against us stopping to say hi?" The younger men flanked Tiger, their postures predatory. One of them sneered. "Bet she thinks she's too good for us." Naoko's jaw tightened, though her voice remained level. "Walk away while you still can." The men laughed, their mocking tones echoing through the clearing. "You hear that, boys?" Tiger sneered. "She thinks she's calling the shots. Lady, you don't know how this works." He gestured at the leather bag beside her. "Why don't you be polite and hand that over?" Naoko slowly stood, rising to her full height. Though shorter than Tiger, she moved with a lethal confidence that made the men hesitate. "You don't want to do this," she warned. Tiger's smile faltered, replaced with anger. "You got a mouth on you," Ray said, stepping forward, his hand reaching for her bag. "I'll shut it for you." It happened in a blur. Naoko's hand shot out, grabbing Ray's wrist and twisting it sharply. He yelped, stumbling backward as she swept his legs out from under him with a calculated kick. Before the others could react, she pivoted toward one of the younger men, lunging at him. She sidestepped, driving her elbow into his ribs with enough force to drop him to his knees. Tiger roared in fury. "Get her!" The remaining men charged, fists swinging wildly. Naoko was a storm of precision and power. She blocked punches with expert ease, her movements fluid and practiced. One of the men swung a pine branch like a bat, but Naoko ducked, grabbed the weapon, and cracked it across his knees. He howled in pain, collapsing to the ground. Tiger was the last to move. His broad frame barreled toward her like a freight train, fists raised. Naoko waited, her breathing controlled, her focus sharp. At the last second, she stepped aside, grabbing Tiger's arm and twisting it behind his back in one fluid motion. With a grunt, she slammed him face first into the bench. Tiger groaned, pinned under her weight. "You think you've won?" he spat, his voice muffled. Naoko leaned close, her voice cold as steel. "This ends here." The faint wail of sirens pierced the air, growing louder with each passing second. A park jogger had witnessed the attack and called 911. The flashing red and blue lights of SFPD squad cars lit up the clearing. Naoko released Tiger, stepping back with measured calm as officers stormed the scene. 2 months after the incident in Civic Center Park, Naoko sat across from Detective Morales in the precinct's briefing room. The walls were lined with evidence linking Tiger's gang to a web of hate crimes orchestrated by Jason Nguyen. Nguyen had been sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. "We couldn't have done it without you," Morales said, sliding a thick case file toward her. "Tiger's testimony and your courage exposed everything." Naoko flipped through the file, her expression unreadable. "It's not over until every victim gets justice," she said. Morales hesitated before nodding. "You're right, but there's more. One of the younger men from Tiger's crew, Chris, wants to talk to you." Naoko's brow furrowed. "Why?" "He says you saved his life that day. He's been cooperating, and he's turning things around. He asked if you'd mentor him." Naoko blinked, surprised. "Mentor him?" Morales nodded. "Sometimes redemption comes in unexpected ways." Later that day, Naoko met Chris at a local community center. The once smug young man now sat nervously, his posture unsure. "Why me?" Naoko asked bluntly. Chris looked up, his voice small but sincere. "Because you didn't just fight us, you showed me what strength really looks like. I want to be better. I need someone to show me how." Naoko stared at him for a long moment before replying, "I'll help you, but you're going to work for it. Understand?" Chris nodded, determination in his eyes. "I won't let you down." Naoko stood, extending a hand. "Then let's get started." As the sun set over the city skyline, Naoko felt something she hadn't in years: hope. Justice had been served, but redemption had begun. The fight wasn't over, but for the first time, she believed it could be.